Welcome to Fantasy or Reality, the GPP. Whatever road you took to get here doesn't matter. What matters is you're here. And my hope is that we all can help one another in this journey. Welcome to episode 5. I'm Steve. I'm a compulsive gambler. My last bet date was 5/2/21. And I'm 8 seconds in, and my wife already wants to kill me. I've already went to the bathroom 3 times. I've had to get water several times. Had to get chapstick. So anyway, so this is going to be a special episode for me and for us. This is going to be my first guest on the podcast. It's going to be about affected others, which I think is something that is highly underserved in our community, or not underserved, but just not talked about enough. There are a few people I've heard talk about it, and I just think it's something important to talk about. Affected others are our family, our spouses, our children, our just anyone in our life that's been affected by gambling. So, we as compulsive gamblers and people in recovery tend to focus a lot on ourselves, and we need to make the changes that are necessary to better ourselves and better our lives and be better people for the people around us and for ourselves. But our family members, they're going through this recovery as well, and they have to deal with everything we're going through. There's, huge life changes when we go through this. So it's a process for them too. And my wife, Kelly, is going to talk a lot about her recovery, what she's doing today. So we both see a therapist, and we have a little saying in our house. We say WWJD. Now, I know most people are going to think, what would Jesus do? But for us, that's become, what would Joseph do? And when we sat down with him the first time, his big question was, who are you? So, Kelly, who are you?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kelly. I'm obviously Steve's wife. That's a big part of who I am. I'm also the mother of 2 boys. One is 4, one is 7, so they keep me very busy. So basically, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I take care of the house. I take care of everything that goes along with being that. Um, the person that I am today is definitely a much different version of myself from 6 months ago. So, you will learn more about me. And basically, as I talk through my recovery, you're going to get to know a lot about me. So, I'm not going to dig too much into it right at this moment, but um, you will see more and more about me as we go on in our questions.
All right. So, what do you do today for your recovery? What do you find is the most helpful thing for you?
So, as Steve said, I'm going to a therapist. I see him several times a month, which has been extremely helpful. Um, and I also go to Gam-Anon every single week. I have come to really enjoy my meetings every week. I have come to really get to know the people in the room. And to me, listening to those stories of affected others has really helped me through my recovery. You know, things that people say in the room, these are things that I thought throughout, going through this very difficult time. So, that's been very helpful for me. And just getting to tell my story and talking on different topics through this, it's really getting me through it. And it's really been a huge learning curve for me. It's made me open my eyes more to things. It's made me open my eyes more to the world. So it's really been a life changer. So that and basically just leaning on my sister a lot. I'm very close with my sister, so I talk to her every day. Um, and that's pretty much it. That's where I get all my support from.
All right, great. So let's go back to the beginning, when this all started, even before it started. So, let's say, your husband, your wife, whoever, someone who's listening, they think there might be something going on. They don't know what's going on. What do you think they should look for in their partner? And what did you notice? What did you see? What kind of changes did you see in me before this all came out?
The months leading up to before I found out, I did notice that you were very distant with me and with our kids. You just weren't yourself. I would say more irritable, and you just seemed to be more stressed out. But I pretty much just Um, I just thought that it was due to the finances, having to take care of a family of 4, doing it all by yourself, that's pretty stressful. So, I just basically I would just think it was that. I always, in my gut, I felt something, but I would always just kind of push it away and just say it's just, it's from my anxiety, or it's just my brain going away. Because I'm at home all the time, I have a lot of time to think, so I'm just overthinking everything. But the night before I found everything out, my body was literally screaming at me that something was just not right. I felt it with every ounce of me. It's so hard to explain how, but I knew something was going on. I didn't think that this was it, but I did know that something was going on. So it just kind of made me dig into things deeper. I kind of did my own investigations, and that's how I found out everything I found out. And that's how everything basically came to a head. But I would suggest to anyone who even thinks that something is off, sometimes your body knows before your mind does. So don't don't just think that you're being crazy, don't think that you're just overthinking things. Go with that feeling and stick with it. Because I feel like 9 times out of 10 your gut's telling you something.
So that day, I talked about my gambling story so far. So anyone who's listening will have hopefully heard that. If not, go back and listen to the first few episodes. So, can you tell us what was that day like for you on the 3rd of May when you found everything out?
I would say that was probably one of the hardest days of my life. The moment that I found out, well, first of all, before everything kind of came to a head, that morning I didn't feel good. It almost was like I felt sick. Again, this was before I actually figured everything out. I knew that something in my life was about to explode. I felt like that something was coming at me. So I um I was actually with my mother-in-law, with your mom. Um and that was when I had found out that was when I had found out that that's when I found everything out. I found emails, I found everything out. So that it was a very hard time. I had no idea what I was walking into. I had no idea how much debt we were in. I really didn't know anything about it. I just saw a bunch of different credit cards on this website. So I was so taken back by it. I my first thought was, "Oh my god, are we going to lose our house? Are we going to lose everything that we've worked so hard for? How far in are we?" So I ended up leaving my kids with her, and I came home. I was so angry. Like, I couldn't even think straight, really. I don't even know how I got myself home because I was in such an emotional panic. I was crying on the way home. So when I got here, I was walking back and forth just trying to figure out what to do. I smashed our wedding picture just because I was so angry. So then at that point, I knew I had to get myself out of the house because I was just gonna destroy everything if I stayed in. So I was going to head to Long Island. I was on such an adrenaline rush that I was going to head to Long Island to my friend's house. I called her up. I told her everything that was going on. I just told her I have to get away. I have to get away from this situation. So I was probably 2 hours away from home, and my adrenaline was gone. I had to turn back around because I was like, I need to figure everything out. I have to figure out how far in we are. I have to figure out how bad this is. So I have to just go back and face this. So that's what I did. I turned around, I went back home. I waited for you to come home. And then, I found out within the course of a couple of days everything, but little by little, we talked about everything, and That was when everything kinda came to a head. So, it was a very, very, very hard day. It was a very emotional day. I honestly thought that our marriage was over. I thought that life as I knew it was over. I had no idea what to do with our children. I had no idea how this was going to play out. Um, so it was very, very hard.
Yeah, that was a tough day. Um, I'm glad it happened now, but yeah, I'm sorry to put you through all that. But anyway, so obviously we both have dove headfirst into recovery. We both are doing our meetings. We both go to therapy. We both have basically turned this into our life, which we'll get further into. But before we found our therapist, before you found Gamanon, before I found my meetings, what did you do those first few weeks? Say someone hasn't reached out to find help yet, or they don't feel comfortable going to a meeting or anything yet. What did you do those first few weeks? Who'd you talk to? What did you do to try to get through those first few days or weeks?
I talked to my sister a lot. I leaned on her for most of it. She really helped to get me through, and a friend also that is going through her own struggles. She was actually the one that told me about Gamanon because I had never heard of Gamanon before. Um, and it was hard. It was an emotional roller coaster. Most of the time I was down, though. I cried a lot. Um, I was angry. I was sitting with all of these feelings, and that's not before all this, that was never who I was. I was never one to really stay angry at something. I never held on to my feelings. I would just find a way to kind of let things go. So, I couldn't do that with these feelings. They were sitting in there and it made me so uncomfortable. I didn't put a name. I had no idea. I couldn't put a name to it. I couldn't really do much of anything. The only thing that I knew that I had to do was I had to act fast on everything. So I took over all the finances. I opened up a separate bank account with only my name on it. Um, my first initial reaction to all of this was that I need to now protect myself and our children and our house. I have to protect our finances. So I just basically I got the passwords to everything. I took everything over. And this is all that with the help of my friend and really almost like intuition, I guess, because it was just something that I just felt inside. I had to lay everything out. And I struggled with that at first, but now it's gotten much better.
So you talk a lot about having so many feelings whirling around, swirling around in your head, not knowing what to do with them. So obviously, we both go to therapy now, and we both found that our therapist through the National Council on Problem Gambling, which I give the number at the end of this podcast. So I would, we suggest therapy highly. So, did you find, well, how helpful do you find therapy to deal with those feelings?
Therapy completely changed my life in every single aspect. Um, it's amazing that we have found such a great therapist on
Yeah.
our first try, because I've heard a lot of people say that it's extremely hard to find such a good therapist. I've never been in therapy before this. Honestly, without my friend's help pushing me, I probably wouldn't have gone to therapy. I was like, "Oh no," at first I was okay. I'm like, "I've got this, I can do this. I don't need therapy," but um I highly recommend it because, our therapist has done wonders for us. He has literally he's moved mountains for us. I'm in awe of his work. So, he basically just taught me that it's okay to feel. Of course, one of the questions he asked me was, where do you want the feelings to go? What do you want to do with those feelings? Where should they go?" So my response to that was, I just want them to go away. I don't want them. It's very uncomfortable. And that's when he said, well, that's growth. Growth is extremely uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And really, it just all clicked that, yeah, everything that you're feeling, I'm allowed to feel like this. Of course, I'm going to feel this way. Of course, I'm going to feel angry. I'm going to feel sad. I'm going to feel resentment, so now I just kind of allow myself to feel it. I always try to figure out why I feel the way I feel, and I'm able to kind of talk myself through it. But I wouldn't have been able to do that without his help. So, anyone that's on the fence with therapy, I would say definitely go for it. It's so helpful.
Yeah, he's been incredible. And like Kelly said, we're very lucky that we found someone as special as him on our first try. We've heard many stories of people going to therapy and not clicking with their therapist and then giving up on after that, thinking that therapy doesn't work. So, we both can attest is, if you find the right therapist, it can really change your life. Both of us do a multitude of things for our recoveries, but I think I can say for both of us that our therapist has been the biggest help. Not even just in recovery and this addiction and learning about the addiction, but just everything in life. He's helped both of us tremendously. So my next question, obviously you are a part of Gamanon and you've become a very involved member over the last several months. So why don't you go over a little bit how you found Gamanon, how people can find it, um, and just what's a meeting like?
So, like I said, my friend was the one that was telling me about Gamanon. I actually attended an Al Anon meeting at first because there were no Gamanon meetings. It's definitely not as big as Al-Anon is. So, obviously I was able to sort of connect with people in Al-Anon, but it's a different addiction. So, I kind of wanted to search for something that I'm able to relate to more. So I went on gamanon.org and I just found I do a virtual meeting every week. So I just clicked on the day that, I was able to attend. So it put me in this room. And at first, my first meeting, I would say, was very overwhelming because there was about, I would say, maybe 6 older women in the meeting. So just listening to them talk and stuff like that, I felt it was a little difficult for me to connect with them because they were all older, so none of them were really in my position. I was looking for someone that could kind of relate more to me, a younger mom, with younger children, just more relatable. So, I went to a few more meetings and then, was starting to come to see that younger women were starting to go into the group. But it's funny because now, being in it for so long, I look up to these women now. There's a woman that's been in it for 44 years, and I think that's incredible. And the words of wisdom that she gives and the topics that she speaks on really speaks to me. And I think it's wonderful. And like I said, I look forward to these meetings every single week. Sometimes I'll chair the meetings. And really, it's been incredible for me to really relate to these women. And now I'm developing relationships with them and they're really meaning something to me. I know it's only virtual, but seeing them every week, hearing them talk, it's almost like they're becoming close to me, like a friendship, pretty much. So I highly recommend Gamanon as well.
So, like you said, you've gotten a lot more involved in Gamanon. You've gotten a lot closer with these women. So obviously, they saw that you were getting involved, that this meant something to you, that you were actually working this program. Um, so you were invited to speak at a conference where Gamanon and GA members both came together to speak on different topics, and it was about 3 or 4 hours, right? So, what was it like speaking at the conference, and what did you learn?
Well, I learned a lot. I really enjoyed listening to the GA members speak a lot. And, in this program, you learn that these are just people. They're just people with their own struggles, just like anybody else. One of the gentlemen that I was speaking with on the topic, he called me before we spoke, before we went on together, and, he was just telling me a little bit about himself, about his life, how he's been in this for, 20 something years, and, when he started, he had 2 young children as well. He was a single father, and just listening to him speak, I mean, I'm sure back then he was going through such hard times, but listening to him speak now, it was amazing to me. He was very open, he was very honest, and I find that to be truly amazing when you have people come on. I think it's great for Gamanon people to go on. Absolutely. I think that's also, it takes a lot of courage to do that. But to me, if you're able to own up to what you did and you're able to go on and show your face and you're able to speak to people about it to try to help anybody, it really speaks something about you. And so listening to GA, listening to Gamanon, these people are incredible. Through this entire journey, I've met with a lot of incredible people, and just I love listening to people speak on it now. To me, it's very interesting. I like hearing their stories. Unfortunately, you have some good stories. Unfortunately, you have some bad stories. But to me, I've been taking my recovery into it's been helping me because I'm learning so much about people. I'm learning about how to look at the world in a different way. So, I was glad to volunteer to speak on this. I was very nervous while I was speaking on it. But I was very happy to do it.
So obviously, I'm very fortunate to have such a wonderful wife in many, many ways, of course. Um, I know not a lot of affected others dive this deep into recovery to try to understand our addiction. Kelly's gone on a podcast before on the Broke Girl Society. She recently did an interview on the Bet Free Life. She's really dove deep into this. I know how fortunate I am. But as addicts, compulsive gamblers, we have to realize that, even if we're fortunate enough to have a partner that dives this hard into it to try to understand our addiction, um, there's of course going to be struggles still. So we have to be accepting of that. We cannot change the things that the serenity prayer, it's a really big thing for us. So, you know, can you just tell us about some of the struggles that you go through still day to day?
The biggest struggle that I've gone through since all this happened is trust. Um, it's something that I hope to one day get back, but that has been one of my downfalls through this. Anything can trigger me into, you know, um, what are you doing if you're not home when you're supposed to be home, or, throughout the day, if I don't hear from you, automatically my brain starts to go and then I have to talk myself back. Um, and when this all first started, my biggest question was, how am I ever going to get through this if I don't have trust? The biggest thing for me is trust in a marriage. So that trust is broken. How do I move past this? How do we move past this? Um, so for the most part, again, thanks to our therapist, I am learning that I do not have control over this. I have control over myself, but I do not have control over you. So you're going to do whatever you're going to do, regardless of what I do. So I'm learning to stand on my own 2 feet on my own. I'm going to be going back to school. I'm going to be entering into my own career. So that's really helping me through this as well. Just being able to have enough confidence in myself to say, this is what I'm worth, this is what I want to do. And as much as we are together in this, our recoveries are together, we're also separate because I have my own path I have to take, just as you have your own path you have to take. So figuring out what I want to do with my life and having a career, it's helped me a lot as well. Um this has all given me a lot of confidence. It's all given me a lot to think about with what I want to do with myself. And um that's kind of how I handle my struggles. I mean, day to day, I try to wake up every morning now, and I've been trying to give myself over to a higher power. And sometimes it's hard. You know, your days will be different. It's one day I could be up, one day I could be down. If I'm having a bad moment in the day, I try to just remember it's only a bad moment. I will not let this take over my entire day. And I'm usually able to move on from it. Um, but I just have to keep telling myself that what will be. And the universe has a plan. And it doesn't matter what I want it to do. It doesn't matter, what I do. This is what's going to happen. So, I could only hope that you're out there doing the right thing. And, I know you are just as, I am. And the biggest thing was giving up control. And once you're able to do that, it will make your life a lot easier.
The big thing I've learned is you just need to sit and listen. If your partner is upset or is questioning something, you just need to listen. If you're doing the right thing and you know you're doing the right thing, there's no need to get defensive. There's no need to fight back. They feel the way they feel because we, have done so many things to make them feel this way. So even if you're head first in your recovery, don't get upset. And when it comes back, it comes back. And you just have to be all right with it. It's just, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. We can't change how our significant others feel. And you just, like Kelly said, we work together, but we have to work our own recoveries also. So work your recovery every day, make yourself a better person, and, it will all come in time. So, Kelly, what advice would you give to other affected others?
I would tell the biggest thing that I usually tell new people coming into the meeting is that you need to focus on your own recovery. Get yourself the support that you need because that's what's going to save you. That's what's going to save your relationship. You need to have somebody there to support you. And that's what Gamanon did for me. Some people may not want to take that route, and that's okay. If you'd rather do therapy, if you'd rather talk to a friend, you need to get it out and you need to have the support behind you. Um, Also, patience. That was something very hard for me to learn is how I could be patient with myself, not rush my recovery. This is a lifelong recovery for us as well. If you want to make your marriage work or make your relationship work out, you know, you're in this for the long run or as long as you possibly can. It's so important. Like I said, people have been in my group for over 20 years, whether they even need to or not. Some of the people aren't with their significant others or their compulsive gambler, but they still attend these meetings for the support because it's helped them in their lives. So I think that's incredible as well. So also be patient with your compulsive gambler because they are going through a very hard time. You know, um, it's a very hard thing to go through with both of you. So patience is key. Um, yeah, basically that was the only thing, like I said, that was the only thing that worked for me. Therapy, Gamanon, my therapist has taught me a lot about patience with myself, not to rush things, not to compare yourself to either other affected spouses or your compulsive gambler. People have said to me, "Wow, it seems like you're doing so great in your recovery," but some days I don't feel like I'm doing so great. Some days they don't feel great. So you will have your up days, you will have your down days, and that's okay. This is all new to you, I'm sure too. So you're entering into this new world. So that's where the patience comes in. So
So, obviously, we could talk about all the negative things, and we've heard about some of the negative things that come out of the addiction. You know, but can you talk about some of the positive things that you've gained through your therapy, through your changes, through your meetings? What has changed for you and for us in a positive way since this all began?
Well, pretty much our entire lives have changed because of this in a positive way. It's been positive within myself because I have learned how resilient I can be through all of this. When I first found out, I literally felt like I was crumbling on the inside. I had no idea what to do. I felt I felt shame within myself. I felt extremely weak. I felt like I had no idea what I was going to do. I felt like my life just fell apart. So throughout the last 6 months, so many things even within myself have come to light. So the biggest thing is my resilience towards everything. This has also affected our family life. Our marriage has gotten so much better because of how much open we are with each other. Um, we make sure to tell each other everything about our meetings, and we tell each other about how our therapies are going. We make sure to stay in touch with each other. We check in with each other. If we feel like one of us is upset about something, we make sure to say, "Are you okay?" You know, um, so our marriage has gotten so much better. I've certainly learned through all this how to be more in the moment, be more present, enjoy my children more, be more patient with them. So it's changed greatly for them as well. I think they really feel it because I think that they felt things as well, before all this kind of came out. Kids are very smart in that way. So it's changed our family life. It's changed my outlook of the world as well. Instead of being so judgmental over people with addictions, I've learned to look at it through new eyes and see that that person is obviously in a really tough spot right now. They're going through a hard time. And I sympathize more with people with addictions or people struggling. You become less judgmental and it makes you think more like, I wonder what about that person made them this way. And I really hope that they're seeking help. So going through this recovery has changed me in so many ways, and I want to learn more about it. I'm going back to school for this area, and I'm really excited about that. And yeah, it's changed everything.
So you were just speaking about wanting to go back to school. Do you want to talk further about that? What do you want to go back to school for? What do you want to become? What does this push you into?
Well, thanks to my therapist, to our therapist. I mean, like I said, I could not speak more highly of this man. He has just it almost makes me speechless. I don't I you know, with the things he was able to do and the things that he was able to bring out in both of us has touched my life in so many ways. And every time I meet with him, I just have the same thought like, wow, how does he do that? I want to learn how to do that. I want to learn how to help people the same way that he's helped me. So after speaking with him, I'm very interested in going back to school to be a licensed mental health counselor. So I'm hoping to start going back in the spring, with furthering my education and, getting my degree and hopefully one day becoming licensed. So this has really pushed me towards, what I want to do. It's helped me figure out I never knew what I wanted to do in my life, but I have such a drive to be in this world and to help people. So I'm really excited to start this part of my life.
So before we wrap up, is there anything that you want to say to any other affected other who may be listening? Say it's their first day, they just found out what's going on, they just stumbled across this podcast. What advice would you give to them to, move forward in their recovery, or you know, just so they can learn about what's going on? What advice would you give?
As much as it may feel like your life is crumbling right now, the best thing that I could do, and this is one thing that they say in the meetings, is as far as feeling like you have no choices, you have many choices in this. And, you know, um, get yourself the recovery, put yourself into the recovery that you need, get yourself the support, and you don't have to make a decision right away. As much as it feels like you have to act fast, I have to figure out my life right now. Take a moment, try to figure out what you need to do. The biggest thing that they say is make sure that you're taking over all the finances, try to figure out how deep you're in. Um, and you know, just try Gamanon meetings and try therapy just to see and give yourself time. Give the program time, give yourself time, give your significant other time. Um, and just, you know, it's something there can be a light at the end of your tunnel. Um, but just know that everything that you're feeling inside, the hurt, the anger, the pain, it's all very, very normal and you will get through it one way or another. You'll pull through.
That was great. Thank you so much for doing this. I'll definitely be having my wonderful wife back on many times. I think she's got a lot to say, a lot of advice to give, and a lot to offer. Not just affected others, but just like they can learn from us, we can learn from them. So I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. You did a wonderful job. I love you.
Thank you for having me. Love you too.
Thanks everybody for listening. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to both of us, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye. Here's where to get help. You can call or text 1-800-522-4700. That's the National Council on Problem Gambling. Or you could call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537. This is where I found the link to my therapist through my local counselor. And then also, we cannot forget our affected others. My wife goes to Gamanon every week, and it's been a huge help to her. So anyone in your life who you feel like needs help or you've affected through your gambling, you can go to gamanon.org, GAM-ANON.org. The number is 718-352-1671.